Hey Scorpio, we're going to talk about Pluto and you. And Pluto's doing something big. Pluto has a lot of impact in our charts. Often it's moving very, very slowly through areas of our charts and can sometimes start to feel invisible. But when it goes over these thresholds from one sign to another, we feel it, the magnitude of it. And so for you, a lot of Scorpios are thinking about moving, like big moves, some kind of big move. And that is on your mind and likely to happen soon. Pluto going over this base point of your chart is big. So moving is definitely on the horizon, and something to do with real estate, maybe. But it psychologically very deep place to have Pluto moving through. And so the good news is Pluto could have over the past few years just felt heavier and heavier and heavier psychologically, and maybe even pulled you down quite a bit. Not all of you, I mean, it's not like all Scorpios have been miserable, but you could have felt a little like your thoughts could have turned a little, like this isn't totally unusual for a Scorpio to have dark thoughts or scary thoughts. This is sort of your norm sometimes, but, and you deal well, you're the sign who deals the best with this kind of thing. But increasingly, your whole view of the world and yourself could have taken a turn. And so, if so, I want you to be reassured that the energy of Pluto and Capricorn is the heaviest of the heavy energies. And now when Pluto shifts to Aquarius, it won't be so heavy. The Capricorn area of your chart won't be so heavy. And Pluto, even though it's still kind of a very impactful, weighty energy, is moving into Aquarius, which is the opposite of heavy. It governs space and the universe and zero gravity, whereas Capricorn's the polar opposite of that, governing like tectonic plates and the densest of materials. So Pluto's shifting into a very airy, light energy that's totally different. So it's going to feel different. It doesn't have the same feeling of stuckness that you may have experienced over the past 15 years, where you felt trapped, stuck, maybe in a neighborhood, maybe in a profession, maybe in a family that doesn't feel fully supportive, maybe family, siblings, like it's like your extended family, not so much your children, if you have children, not so much your spouse, if you have a spouse, but it's more like cousins, in-laws, step-sons, daughters, step-parent, steps. It's more like the extended family. It may have felt like either you're trapped with them and you don't like them, or they're not being supportive, or you're feeling alone inside that family system or neighborhood system or community system, whatever community you're in. There's maybe a feeling of feeling more and more trapped, but you've learned how to cope mentally with this, whatever's been going on for you. You've been learning how to deal better with these kinds of situations that have been hard for you. Some of you may literally have had some mental challenges. That could be anything. You might be neurodiverse. It could be something like that. Maybe learning, maybe you're dyslexic. So it may have been hard to picking up skills, learning things may have been a little extra challenging or felt challenging, even if you wanted to learn them. But you've done it. I mean, the good news is you've done it. You've learned how to do so many new things, but there is this heaviness to this energy. I want to reassure you that is going away. That is going away. It's much lighter and brighter where Pluto's headed, but it is this base point of your chart. So it'll, for a lot of you, it indicates a move away from some people maybe, and maybe finding new family or stepping out on your own. Um, but it's a big move. And psychologically, it's a big shift. You go from the heaviness to the lightness and the brightness and the airiness. So that's a big shift. So it'll be an interesting journey. I even wonder at some point soon if a lot of you aren't thinking of moving far away to a very distant place. Maybe it's a big move. So it could be to a different state, a different region, maybe even a different country. And so there's this international feeling to it with the real estate and the money. Some of you are in line for kind of an inheritance of some sort, and that could happen. It might not be happening now, but it could. For some, there are different timelines, but for some of you, it might be a couple years away from now, because not everything happens overnight. It's not like the first day Pluto goes here, all the stuff I'm talking about happens. We're talking about a 20-year journey. So a lot of big moves coming up, maybe some inheritance money and inheritance property even. But financially, things are mostly good right now. So it's not a financial heaviness. It's more like needing to make some big changes to lighten your load and to lighten your mental load, to feel better inside. So whatever's coming, it's going to be a lighter, brighter energy. But it will govern things like, so it's shifting from an area of the chart. And I know this sounds murky, but this is a murky area of the chart. So I'm trying to find ways to talk to you about it. How before I was mentioning like the more extended family, like the steps and the in-laws and the cousins and the siblings. Now Pluto's going into area that's direct family. It's your nuclear family. It's your children and your spouse. So you feel some big shifts and changes in your nuclear family. This could be just a big time of empty nesting or also having children. It could be a time of having children, and that creates the nuclear family. Or it's just big changes like empty nesting or maybe kids going off getting married and then they find their own families. Then your nuclear family is still the same, but I've discovered that once your kid gets serious about someone else or marry someone else, that they're marrying into another family and have obligations there too, and so it changes things. So just change. The key here with Pluto and Aquarius is to be very inventive and creative and think outside the box in terms of where you want to live, how you want to live, who you want to live with. Think outside the box. You'll have some brilliant flashes of insight about how to create the home environment, the family environment, the house, the living situation. You'll have some flashes of brilliance and insight in how to do this. And so where you end up living and with whom may look very different than what it looks like right now. And maybe you can't see it yet, but that's what's coming. So it's really an adventure. Pluto in Aquarius for everybody is going to be more of a quest, an adventurous kind of feeling, stepping out on the open road kind of feeling, shooting off into space to the distant frontier. Everyone's on this different kind of journey than we were with Pluto in Capricorn, which was just totally different. So we can't know. It's going to be a surprise. But you're feeling it. You're feeling like your living situation, you're feeling some weight there. You may feel some loneliness, some of you. And so now is problem solving mode. You're clicking into problem solving and the stuckness goes away. Any stuckness you've been feeling goes away. The stuck energy is gone. So I think it'll be good. Again, Pluto's Pluto, so you'll be confronting fears about moving, about making changes in family. You'll be confronting fears around this and deep fears and insecurities around this. Empty nesting is a good example because you suddenly you realize like, oh, my kids are going out into the world. What if they never come back? Which is silly. Most kids do, but they come back. But you suddenly realize you don't have that same control. You don't have the same traditions because people are off creating new traditions. It's, can be a little scary, but things tend to work out. It's just so new. So some of that may be going on too, but try to trust the process. Use your own sense of invention and insight to make it right for you, make it work for you. But I do, some of you may be moving a long distance or internationally or traveling. Maybe you travel from home to home. I think some of you may find yourself in situations where you're not staying in the same place all the time, where you're moving around, part of the year here, part of the year there, or just moving from place to place for some reason. It may have to do with your profession. It's hard to say, there's so many different types of Scorpios out there, but just think of it like an adventure, a quest, and trust the process. And if things aren't clear now, they'll become clear. Trust those flashes of insight, okay? You can do this. Take care.